I did some testing yesterday to see what kind of battery life extension this device here could bring to the Fuji X-T3, as well as the Sony and Panasonic cameras I have, and I have to say, I was impressed with the results. Let's get undone.
Gerald Undone. He's crazy.
What's happening, everybody? I'm Gerald Undone, and I'm a geek, so you don't have to be. So I ordered this USB power bank from Anker because when I was updating the firmware on the X-T3, I noticed that it was listed on the Fuji website as a recommended accessory. And back when I went to the X-T3 launch event, I remembered Billy from the Fuji guys raving about how awesome it was as well, but I never got a chance to try it. Now on the Fuji website, there are two models listed. There's the 20,000 model, and then there's the bigger one. This is the PowerCore Plus 26,800 PD, but the important part is the PD for power delivery. And power delivery, by the way, is a USB extension that allows for PD-aware components to deliver and receive increased power beyond what you could normally transmit over USB. And this power delivery is essential if you want to run the X-T3 as well as several other Fuji models on USB power. Now, we aren't talking about charging the X-T3 because you can charge it with pretty much any USB power source, but we're talking about delivering continuous power while the device is on and recording. So here's some test results to show you what I mean. I had the X-T3 doing 4K video, 30 frames per second, and I was using continuous autofocus and found that with just the internal battery, I could get just under an hour of life, around 53 minutes on average. Then I connected a standard USB-C charger and ran the test again. I used the DJI Ronin S charger, which has 5 volts at 3 amps and 12 volts at 2 amps, but it does not have the power delivery certification. Now this is a powerful charger, but without the PD, it didn't impact the Fuji very much, and it only increased the battery life to about 1 hour and 11 minutes, up from the 53 minutes. Then I used the fully charged PowerCore, and the results were drastically different. It took over 8 hours for the internal battery on the Fuji to hit the critical red line. Now I couldn't just record straight through for 8 hours because of the 30-minute record limit as well as overheating, so every 30 minutes I would have to format the card and start recording again, and I would shut it off for a few minutes every 90 to 120 minutes to avoid overheating. And every time I did do this, I would unplug the PowerCore as to not recharge the battery a little bit and corrupt the test. And if you add up all the durations in which I recorded, I got over 8 hours of record time on a single charge from the Anker PowerCore. And outside of these extreme tests, the PowerCore itself lasts for a really long time. It's a 26,800 model because it has a 26,800 milliamp hour battery, and for more practical things like just recharging your camera, it's incredible. Since the last time I recharged this, I've recharged the Sony a7 III twice, the Fuji X-T3 3 times, and I used it to power the Sony and the Fuji each for 2 30-minute record tests, and it still has over 50% of its life left. That means you'll probably be able to recharge your camera's batteries around 8 to 10 times on a single charge from the Anker, and because it's power delivery, it can also be recharged with power delivery, which means it takes a lot less time than I thought it would to recharge. I was able to recharge this thing from one light up to full power in about 4 hours, where my previous power bank took me like 18 hours to do that. And that's another bonus if you get the 26,800 Plus edition, is you also get a power delivery wall adapter and a 3-foot USB-C PD cable, so you essentially end up with 2 power delivery capable devices. And so if you wanted to power 2 cameras, or if you just wanted to use mains power, you could run an extension cord from the wall outlet to the adapter here, and then you can just plug this into your camera, and you basically have unlimited power. I tested it on a couple other cameras as well, like the Sony a7 III and the Panasonic G9. I didn't find that much of a difference between it and, say, another reasonably powerful USB adapter. The Sonys and Panasonics don't require power delivery like the Fuji does, so they worked equally well on that Ronin charger I talked about earlier, or even a phone charger with enough output. With the Sony a7 III, for example, I only lost 7% battery after 30 minutes of 4K 30 recording using the DJI Ronin adapter, but I only lost 5% using the Anker PowerCore. So it's a little bit better, but they're pretty similar results, but still both are vastly better than using no USB power source at all. But that mixed requirement between the cameras means that you can charge multiple cameras at the same time because of the multiple ports on the PowerCore. So I was able to charge the Fuji X-T3 using the USB-C port, and then the Panasonic and the Sony using the 2 Type-A ports all at the same time. However, if you try to power multiple cameras at the same time, you will experience reduced results. Instead of having 5% battery loss on the Sony and no bars on the Fuji after 30-minute recording, when I had them both being powered at the same time, it was 18% on the Sony that I lost after 30 minutes and 1 bar on the Fuji. So still pretty good compared to having nothing, but it is worse than if you were just power a single camera at a time. I also tested it on the new Nikon Z cameras, but you're only able to charge them and not power them, so you're still going to have to get that special Nikon accessory if you want to do that. So it works really well, but there are a couple of downsides. First of all, it's not the smallest or lightest unit in the world, and it's definitely not the cheapest. It weighs 576 grams, so about 1¼ pounds, and it's 16 centimeters by 8 centimeters, so that's like 6.5 inches by 3 inches, and it's just under an inch thick. I don't mind the size and weight. I think it feels substantial and well balanced, and the outside casing is metal, which makes it feel like it's high quality, which is important because it's $130 US. I will say that it's probably the best and most useful power bank I've ever owned, and having that PD certification does bump up the price, but it also increases the range of non-camera devices you can charge as well, including some game consoles and laptops. But naturally, because of its size, the next obstacle I wanted to tackle was how to mount this thing to a rig. The first combination I got working was this standard phone clamp from Amazon with a 1/4-20 shoe adapter on it so that I could attach it to a cage or shoe or top handle of a camera rig, and then a Velcro tie to secure the cable. The other option was this strange clamp that I found at my local camera store that actually has a curved contour that somehow perfectly matches the PowerCore, and then I just used the 1/4-20 on the bottom to secure it to my GH5 cage as a test. Quick note, by the way, this device will not power the GH5 because the GH5 doesn't charge via USB. Now, GH5 owners probably know that already, but I just wanted to clarify. So I could get it secured to the cameras pretty easily, but it does add a decent amount of weight, and it's not really something I feel that comfortable running around with due to the size of it. So I think you might actually be better off just sticking it in your pocket and running a cable to the camera you're holding. In either case, though, I'm pretty happy with it. I just wanted to let you guys know the results of my tests, but if you're looking for something like this to fill a specific need, I think this is a great option. But that's going to be it for me. I hope you found this video helpful or at least entertaining, and if you did, make sure you leave it the old thumbs up and consider subscribing if you haven't already. But if you did not find this video helpful or entertaining, feel free to hit the dislike button twice. Alright, I'm done.